Welcome back. Well, President Cyril Ramaphosa has arrived in Tanzania for a two-day state visit and to attend a SADC Heads of State summit. President Ramaphosa will hold talks with his Tanzanian counterpart, John Magufuli, in Dar es Salaam this morning. The International Relations Minister, Naledi, Pandor, says SADC's economic challenges and peace, as well as security issues, will be placed high on the agenda of the summit.
It's a crucial meeting, coming amid growing economic and political challenges on the continent. The ministerial meeting will consider the finances of SADC. The Council of Ministers will also look at the regional integration as the continent prepares to implement the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Our officials have done very good preparatory work, and so we were able to go through quite a large order of business in today's meeting. Essentially, the Council processes recommendations that come out of the officials' meeting, where the deep substance of an issue would be discussed. We then would look at the recommendations, and with the background of reports, would be able to advise the heads of state when meeting in plenary and summit as to whether particular decisions should be adopted or not. So on financial matters, there are areas where we've expressed concern. The Secretariat is busy re-looking at its organizational structure in order to ensure greater efficiency. We've supported those steps. It has a good audit outcome, but we think there should be even more attention to ensuring effective and efficient expenditure of the budget of the organization. We also, of course, welcomed the agreement and ratification of the Continental Free Trade Area, which we think augurs very well for us as the region. But as SADC, we are somewhat more ready, and so we are keeping a close watching brief on developments under the auspices of the African Union while we continue to act on the program that we have as SADC.
The visit also coincides with a time of mourning in Tanzania. Last week, a tanker exploded, killing more than 70 people. Pretoria has conveyed its condolences to Dar es Salaam.
At the beginning, there was a note of sadness due to the tragedy that occurred in Tanzania, a tragedy for which South Africa has expressed its deepest sympathy to the people and government of Tanzania. Over 65 lives have been lost, and indeed that incident is one that all of us as ministers marked with great sadness.
The two countries have strong relations. Tanzania was home to thousands of activists who fled the country.
There are very, very long links that Tanzania has as one of the states that essentially gave of itself to the struggle for liberation on the African continent, but in particular in Southern Africa. Tanzania played a very important role as the host of all the liberation movements, including that of Namibia, SWAPO, PAC, ANC, as well as South African Communist Party and other organizations found themselves here. And of course the historic Solomon Mahlangu Academy is right here, the college where many of our young people who left South Africa in order to join efforts directed toward achieving freedom, they were at SOMAFCO and studied there. And this college is located in Mazimbu, close to Morogoro, and it's important that we do acknowledge the contribution Tanzania made in difficult times when it was not popular to support the liberation struggle. They didn't wait until the 80s. They were clear from the beginning when Condolences was formed that they would be side by side with us in the struggle for freedom. So this is a long established brother and sisterhood, a solidarity in struggle, a solidarity in freedom. And the visit as a state visit by our President Ramaphosa as well as his participation in the summit of SADC Heads of State and Government, is just a clear affirmation of this extremely important relationship between fraternal countries that have had bonds that can never be broken.
The state visit aims to strengthen existing relations. Sophie Mokoena, SABC News.
All right, let's unpack the president's state visit to Tanzania. We're joined in studio by Foreign Editor Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, thank you very much indeed for your time. So, the president will be meeting his Tanzanian counterpart this morning. What's high on the agenda?
Well, clearly it's about the trade relations between the two countries, but also the political relations. You know that as the minister in that insert indicated that the relations between the two countries dates back to exile years, and not only between ANC and Tanzania, but all the liberation organizations or movements in the SADC region, the so-called frontline state. Many people were in exile in Tanzania under Julius Nyerere, who gave them military training but also gave them shelter. Therefore, the relations between the two countries are quite strong. These relations were formalized in 1994 when President Mandela took office. And in 2018, a decision was taken to strengthen these relations. In fact, in 2011, it was escalated to the binational commission at the heads of state level.
Yeah. What about multilateral issues between the two countries? And I'm sure trade as well will be in sharp focus.
Yes, you know that South Africa is going to chair the African Union in 2020, and therefore this is a moment for President Ramaphosa to consult with his peers in terms of what could be the focus in 2020 in terms of the AU agenda. But also South Africa is playing a very prominent role within the Security Council as a non-permanent member of the Security Council. And when you look at the Security Council's agenda, issues there, most of the issues revolves around issues of security, peace and security and stability on the continent, and therefore this is a moment to consult. The second issue is that the president will be taking over as the chair of the Security Council after the General Assembly in September. October, South Africa will be chairing the UN Security Council. This is the most powerful position, and it is always important as a leader to consult with your peers so that you can move in unison, particularly to take a common position as the continent. I think those issues will be high on the agenda. We are told that he's also intending to visit Morogoro. You know the history of Morogoro, where the exile years, many people were in Morogoro. You know that Solomon Mahlangu High School or technical school, as an honor to Solomon Mahlangu, he will visit that. But also an incident that happened on Saturday where many people died, he would like to visit the site. Yeah,
you were just running some of the visuals there. Over 70 people lost their lives in this tanker explosion. What is he going to do there?
Well, just to show some, respect to those who have passed on, but also solidarity with Tanzania. Secondly, you'll find that perhaps they might need an assistance in terms of the DNA test, because we are told that some bodies it's very difficult to identify. And South Africa, with its expertise, is able to assist. The Americans have also indicated that they stand ready to assist Tanzania if they are battling with issues of DNA. And I think South Africa would like to do the same.
Yeah. What's the word on the ground in terms of the state visit? Is Tanzania pulling out all the stops? Pomp and ceremony?
Well, it's pomp and ceremony at its best, red carpet. I mean, it speaks to the relations between the two countries. And remember, this is an invitation by President John Magufuli to President Cyril Ramaphosa during his inauguration. Normally, Magufuli doesn't leave his country. Very difficult. He doesn't go to these international trips and state visits and conferences. But he took time to visit South Africa or to attend President Ramaphosa's inauguration. And he even took time to visit Namibia, Zimbabwe. Namibia, the outgoing chair of SADC, and Zimbabwe, the incoming chair of Organ on Troika Politics and Defense. that was consultation, and therefore it speaks to the relations between the two countries. I mean, who doesn't know Julius Nyerere in South Africa? It's because of the relations the two countries have enjoyed even before 1994. But then, of course, on Saturday, the big one, the start of the SADC meeting.
Yeah, the 39th Ordinary Summit of SADC, the heads of state will be meeting. The president is facing his own legal battles here in South Africa. When he's meeting his Tanzanian counterparts, the SADC leaders, is that at play? Does that hold sway at that level, do you think?
Well, I think these issues are likely to come up behind the scenes where you have these bilaterals, where perhaps just in passing to say, we can see that you are facing challenges in your country, and he will be able to explain to his peers. But I don't think that will affect South Africa's standing at international level or any multilateral organization. South Africa is respected worldwide, and I think it will be business as usual, particularly as the incoming chair of the African Union. But when he returns back home, he will have to deal with the internal politics.
No doubt he will. But looking at this summit, it's a very important summit, the 39th Ordinary Summit in SADC. What are some of the issues? Health, economy, food security? Big.
Well, of course, even funding SADC as an organization for it to survive, the secretariat to survive in Botswana. You know, offices are based in Botswana. You need funding. They are going to look at that, but I had the minister saying that there's progress on that front. Many countries, member countries, are paying, but there are those that are still lagging behind. Secondly, I think for me what is critical is that, you know, in Niger, the meeting of the African Union, they have finally taken a decision to implement the African Free Trade Area. And therefore, regions must come up with a way forward in terms of how this will be done. And the regional integration is very, very important, particularly for movements of goods and services. And I think the issue of the economy as well, we know that it is not only South Africa that is experiencing the economic challenges. I mean, the whole world is facing economic challenges. That is why when you look at the rand, how it has been performing, that it, you know, the international factor is there also. And I think we are not the only one affected. And therefore, working together as a continent, as regions, we can find solutions. And when you look at the trade war between the US and China, many investors are looking to invest on the continent. And therefore, it is the responsibility of leaders to create a conducive climate for investors to look at Africa as an alternative market. And this is an opportunity for leaders to discuss such things. The issue of security, we know that there are challenges in Lesotho as we speak. The former Deputy Chief Justice, Naledi is currently in Lesotho to try and ensure that stakeholders in Lesotho agree and implement what the SADC has requested them to do, so that when he goes to Tanzania on Saturday, when he's delivering a report to the organ on politics and defense, he's able to give a better report. Secondly, you know that Zimbabwe will be taking over as the chair of the organ on politics and defense. But Zimbabwe has got serious challenges. We know that the opposition on Friday has threatened to embark on a mass action. And therefore the question is, you have Zimbabwe chairing this important institution, but having its own challenges back home. Botswana is going to elections, Mozambique elections, and therefore there's a lot to discuss. So
this will be an opportunity for President Cyril Ramaphosa in his capacity as a SADC facilitator to Lesotho to present this report to the summit. What is he likely to say there? What's likely contained in that report? I think he is going to lament the fact that there's progress, but implementation is slow, and there's pulling back, pulling forward. You know, there's, you know, the political shenanigans in Lesotho are just tiring for years and years. And many people have indicated that as long as Lesotho has got this current constitution, you'll always end up with the coalition government, and it will be very difficult to run that country. And therefore, even now, I mean, yesterday, former Deputy Chief Justice Dikgang Mseneke was trying very hard to bring them together, but some are reluctant. And that's the politics of SADC.
right
No doubt
now.
you will be keeping a close eye on things. Please do come back and report back in terms of any developments there. Thank you very much
Yes,
indeed.
our crew in Tanzania will definitely give us a report back. They arrived at the State House at 6 o'clock this morning for
Okay.
security check.
Right.
So we are on standby there.
100%. Thank you very much. Sophie Mokoena is our foreign editor. All right.